Let's start with a scenario that might feel uncomfortably familiar. You're at a dinner party, you meet someone new, and then, inevitably, they ask the dreaded question, so, what do you do? For most people, this is easy. I'm an accountant. I'm a dentist. I'm a marketing manager. But for you, your heart rate spikes. You hesitate. You think about the graphic design course you just started, the novel you're half writing, the time you spent teaching English in Japan, and your current obsession with permaculture gardening. You say something vague, or you just give your current job title, but inside you feel like a fraud. You feel like you're hiding a secret, that you don't have a calling. You have 20 callings, and the moment you pick one, you feel like you're amputating the other 19. If you have spent your life feeling scattered, flaky, or worried that you are a jack of all trades, master of none, I need you to listen closely. There is nothing wrong with your ability to commit. You are not suffering from a lack of discipline. You have a specific neuropsychological orientation that the career counselor never told you about. Barbara Sher called it being a scanner. Emily Wapnick calls it being a multipotentialite. History calls it being a polymath. Whatever label we use, the truth is this. Your brain is not broken. It is simply designed for a different kind of function than the specialized world expects. Today, we are going to dismantle the shame around your many interests. We're going to look at the psychology of why you get bored as soon as you master something. And I'm going to give you 3 concrete frameworks to design a life that honors your complexity instead of forcing you to slice yourself into pieces. Welcome. Let's take a deep breath and let's dive in. First, we need to understand the cultural water we are swimming in. Our modern society is built on the cult of specialization. Since the Industrial Revolution, the economic ideal has been the assembly line, pick one function, get really good at it, and do it for 40 years. We are taught that depth is the only metric of value. If you go deep, you are an expert. If you go wide, you are dilettante. But biologically, evolution loves a generalist. For most of human history, survival didn't depend on doing one thing perfectly. It depended on doing many things well enough. You had to hunt, build shelter, navigate, tell stories, and identify plants. The ability to scan the horizon and adapt to new information was a survival superpower. The scanner's brain. If you are a scanner, your brain likely has a high sensitivity to novelty and a powerful drive for synthesis. A specialist looks at a problem and drills down to the bedrock. A scanner looks at a problem and looks across to see how it connects to geology and poetry and economics. You aren't quitting because you're lazy. You are quitting because you have finished the learning phase. For a scanner, the reward isn't the certificate on the wall. The reward is the click that moment when you figure out how the system works. Once you understand the mechanism, your brain says, okay, got it. Next. To the outside world, this looks like quitting. To your brain, you didn't quit. You finished. You got what you came for, the knowledge. Let's look under the hood at the neuroscience of why this happens. We have to talk about dopamine. We often think of dopamine as the pleasure chemical, but in psychology, we know it's actually the molecule of anticipation and pursuit. For a scanner, the dopamine system lights up like a Christmas tree during the beginner phase of a new interest. The steep learning curve, the rapid acquisition of new vocabulary, the I have no idea what I'm doing thrill. This is high-octane fuel for your brain. You can hyper-focus for weeks. You buy all the gear, you read all the books, but then you hit the plateau of competence. This is when you get good enough. You know how to play the guitar chords. You know how to code the basic website. The mystery is gone. The novelty wears off. For a specialist, this is where the satisfaction deepens. They enjoy the refinement. For you, the dopamine crashes. The pursuit is over. The thrill of the hunt is gone. This drop in dopamine feels physically painful. It manifests as intense boredom, lethargy, or even a mild depression. You interpret this biological signal as a character flaw. Why can't I stick with anything? In reality, your brain is just screaming, I am hungry for a new cognitive puzzle. Cognitive flexibility. Your brain also scores high on cognitive flexibility. This is the ability to switch between thinking about two different concepts and to think about multiple concepts simultaneously. While the specialist is digging a deep hole, you are building bridges between the holes. Innovation usually happens between fields, not inside them. That is your domain. Now, a gentle warning. I want to distinguish between a healthy scanner mindset and what I call the shadow scanner. Sometimes, we jump from career to career not because we are curious, but because we are afraid. 1. The resistance to hard work. There is a difference between I've learned what I needed to learn and this just got hard. Every pursuit has a dip, a boring, difficult middle part. If you quit the moment things get difficult, that's not being a polymath. That's avoidance. A healthy scanner pushes through the hard parts until they reach competence. A shadow scanner quits before they get any results. 2. The fear of evaluation. If you are always a beginner, you can never be judged as an expert. If you switch paths every 6 months, you never have to face the possibility of failing at the highest level. Constant pivoting can be a defense mechanism against vulnerability. 3. The ADHD overlap. It is important to note that this scanner profile has a huge overlap with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If your inability to stick to things is causing chaos in your life, unpaid bills, broken relationships, forgotten promises that isn't just a personality quirk, that might be executive dysfunction. If this resonates, looking into an ADHD diagnosis can be life-changing. It doesn't mean you stop being a scanner, it just means you get the tools to actually finish your projects. So, how do we live? How do we pay the bills without losing our minds? We stop trying to force ourselves into the one true calling box. Instead, we use career models designed for scanners. Here are 3 frameworks you can use right now. Model 1, the umbrella career. This is my favorite for people who crave variety but need stability. You find a career that is broad enough to house all your interests under one roof. Example, journalism. 1 week you're learning about crypto, the next about sustainable farming. The topic changes, but the skill, writing, stays the same. Example, entrepreneurship. You have to be the marketer, the product designer, the accountant, and the strategist. It forces you to wear 10 hats. Example, consulting or project management. Every client is a new world to learn. Model 2, the good enough job plus the passion portfolio. Barbara Scher calls this the good enough job. You get a job that is low stress, pays the bills, and leaves you with mental energy at 5 p.m. You do not look to this job for fulfillment. You look to it for funding. Your real work is your portfolio of passions, your band, your garden, your novel. This relieves the pressure. You don't need your job to be your soulmate. You just need it to be a supportive roommate. Model 3, the serial specialist. Sequential life. This is for the scanner who wants to go deep, but only for 3 to 5 years. You treat your life like a TV series with seasons. Season 1, age 22 to 26. Graphic design. Season 2, age 26 to 30. Culinary school and working as a chef. Season 3, age 30 to 35. Tech sales. You don't have to do everything at once. You just have to trust that you have time to do everything eventually. You aren't quitting being a chef. You are just moving to Season 3. I know the fear that comes up when you look at these models, but if I switch paths, I'm starting over from zero, I've wasted all that time. I want to offer you a different perspective. Knowledge is not a tower, it's a web. When you leave a field, you don't leave the skills behind. You pack them in your suitcase and take them with you. The discipline you learned in ballet makes you a better coder. The empathy you learned as a teacher makes you a better sales manager. The visual spacing you learned in architecture makes you a better baker. Interdisciplinary innovation is the future of the economy. AI can do specialized tasks faster than any human. But AI is terrible at being human, at making weird, intuitive connections between disparate fields. That is your zone of genius. The world is full of specialists who can't talk to each other. They need translators. They need synthesizers. They need you. 2230. Conclusion: embrace the pivot. So, here is your homework. Stop asking yourself, what is the one thing I want to do forever? That question is a cage. Start asking, what is the thing I want to learn next? Give yourself permission to be curious. Give yourself permission to be a beginner again and again. Your path will not look like a straight line or a ladder. It will look like a constellation. It will look messy to people who love straight lines. But if you zoom out, it will look like a map of a life fully lived. You aren't lost. You're just exploring. If this video helped you feel a little less alone in your scattered brain, let me know in the comments, what are 3 wildly different interests you have right now? I love seeing the combinations like astrophysics, knitting, and death metal. Put them down below. And if you want to understand why you struggle to make these decisions, check out my video on the paralysis of analysis. It's the perfect companion to this one. Go out there and learn something new. I'll see you soon.